take an RV.
Hop on an airplane.
Ooh, or we could just go cruising. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the differences in maybe taking a vacation with your RV, even if you're full-time in it, flying somewhere, and taking a cruise.
Some various modes of transportation, if you will.
Welcome back to Miller's in Motion. If it's your first time here and you like the content, please consider subscribing. Also, as we get into the video, when you find out whichever version of travel you want to do, whether it be RVs, flying to your destination, or maybe a cruise, let us know down below, because by you commenting, it really helps share this with other people and help out the algorithm.
You got it. All right. First off, the thing that's newest to us, but we are quickly learning to love, RVing. One of my favorite things about this is that you're essentially taking your home with you. So I get to take my pillow, I get to take my coffee, and to be honest, a little bit of privacy with your own home. So I love that.
In addition to your home, or if you're a part-timer, your vacation home with you, is you have a little bit more flexibility with your travel. Again, if you're not a full-timer, or if you are a full-timer, you can kind of go when you want to. So if you're a little tired the next morning and you're okay maybe not jumping up at 5 a.m. to run to the airport, you don't have to, essentially. You just sleep in, enjoy your campsite for another hour, and then hook up and leave whenever you want to.
Another thing, and we learned this from some friends very early on, is actually that you hit more of your flyover destinations. So if you're flying into major airports or cruise terminals where you're coming and leaving from, you're going to miss some of those smaller towns and the little communities there. You're not going to get to soak up those quite as much. So we're really finding that there's a lot of value into seeing those smaller destinations.
And there are so many of them. We never would have found the Vanilla Bean in Elkhart.
Never.
Our favorite ice cream place. One added bonus, kind of a bonus in here, is that we get to take our pups with us too. So if you have pets, you get to bring them with. So you don't have to worry about taking them to boarding or finding someone to watch them and worrying about them. They're just with you. And that, I think it helps add to the experience. So our second mode of travel, be flying.
Not with those wings.
So I've worked in the travel industry for quite a while doing special events all over the world. So we work very close hand in hand with a lot of the airlines. And I've also flown since I was about like 5 months old. My parents were those people. So when you travel via air to wherever you're going, you're going to get there a lot faster.
That's true.
A lot faster.
A lot faster.
A typical trip in an RV, if you're going to go about 1,000 miles, could take you days, depending on how your travel style is in the RV.
As long as you're not us.
It takes us day-ish. Depends on the definition of a day.
That's right.
But flying 1,000 miles isn't even a 2-hour-long flight. Now, you do have to go through security.
Sure.
That does add time. And then you have to get on the plane and you get, so door to door, it's a little bit longer than that if you start to kind of think about it. But at the end of the day, you're not driving and you're getting there quite a bit faster.
And another good thing is that you can get to a variety of places. Like, we're not really going to plan to take the RV to Hawaii, but that would be a great place for an airplane trip to kind of come in. So you can go a further distance on that same time frame and get to a variety of places.
Hawaii sounds great right now because it's cold.
It's cold.
In addition to that, you can actually do multiple flights as well. So you can hit a couple of destinations in a much faster time frame.
Good point.
The last, and definitely not least, at least as far as the topics we've chosen, is money. That might sound a little different because I think if you look at buying an RV, outfitting the RV, getting it ready for transfer, the truck, all that stuff, RVing is pretty expensive.
Absolutely.
It can be pretty expensive. Air flights can be expensive too, don't get me wrong, especially if you're spoiled and want to go up front. Okay. But you can use miles and points. You can join different loyalty programs as well as different credit cards you can sign up for, have perks that accumulate miles or points that you can then redeem for travel.
And for somebody who's numbers oriented, this turns into a big game. So it can really save you a lot of money if you use those wisely.
So we've signed up for multiple credit cards that allow us to do that. This is called travel hacking, if you're unfamiliar with it. This is actually the topic that started the channel back in 2019. before COVID won and we shut it down and then decided RVing sounded like more fun.
Did you know that? Did you know we went way back that far? You didn't watch those videos, did you?
Please don't. Please don't. They're bad. So, all right.
All right.
Let's find somewhere warmer.
Let's go. All right, last but certainly not least is cruising. Now, we didn't grow up cruising. We didn't take our first cruise until after we were married. And so this was totally new to us, and I would say that was something I didn't know I needed. I loved it. Maybe it's because we went to the Bahamas in December, so I was nice and roasty toasty while everybody was freezing back home. But either way, we really had a great time, and I don't think that's the last one that we'll be doing.
Definitely not. One of the things we love the most about cruising is that you can hit a lot of destinations, depending on the length of your cruise, of course, and where you're going. But it's a lot like RVing in that sense that you kind of unpack once.
Yeah.
If you're a part-timer, if you're a full-timer, you don't ever really unpack when you RV. But you can hit multiple destinations. Like, for instance, we did a Disney cruise, and so we hit Key West. We hit their private island, Castaway Key. And I forgot the third one.
The Bahamas.
Oh, that's right.
I won't forget that.
Yeah. And so you really get to do a lot and only unpack once.
Absolutely. And like you were saying, a variety of destinations. We get to do different things at each place. Something we haven't really had to experience yet, but we look forward to is really foreign places, maybe where there's a language barrier or something like that. There's a level of comfort for me, since neither of us really fluently speak another language, that you kind of have that on the ship, that somebody's always going to speak a language that you're familiar with and be able to communicate in that regard.
Unless you count Texan as a different language.
And there's a level of security with that too. You know, when you go to some places, you can get to the wrong places where you shouldn't be, and then not speaking the language can be kind of dangerous. So this guides you in a little bit of a way and provides that communication for you.
And unlike any other two travel styles we talked about before, whether it be air or RVing, you have a built-in entertainment schedule with this.
Woohoo!
You can literally go from sunup to sundown, do everything from live entertainment, music, comedy shows, to all kinds of stuff, even including like shore excursions. So if you kind of talking about level of comfort in a different city, shore excursions are part of that, and you can book all that through the cruise line or not, but they kind of give you a little bit more blueprint to work with.
Yeah.
And you don't have to really think too much about your own schedule, except for get up and what do you want to do at that moment and what's available.
Yeah, and the food's always there. You never have to kind of plan around that. Oh my goodness, when, you know, all those sorts of things. So that's built in. That's nice. Or you can sit by the pool and watch it all go by. It's your choice.
Either or. So before we let you go, we're going to talk about some of the downsides of each of the three categories that we've talked about. All right. Unfortunately, there is a little bit of negative to all three forms of travel, and we'd be doing you a disservice if we didn't talk about them.
Absolutely. But such is life, right? So starting with the RVs, it does take longer to get places.
Because they money.
We'll get to that point too, but really it does. And so you have to drive to these places that can take a while, you know, stopping for fuel stops, that sort of stuff. And then he is right. It does take more money. The entry points for these things are not an airline ticket. That's definitely going to be working against you. But depending on how you use it over the long run, of course, that could be a benefit, just depending on how you use it. Even renting them, that can still be expensive. You're still paying not only for the unit itself, but also usually for the site where you're placing it. So it's not a cheap thing, but at the end of the day, if that's what makes your memories, then it's absolutely worth it.
And she hasn't even mentioned all the accessories and things. So depending on how you want to travel and the destinations you want to go to, you still have to pay for things when you get to those destinations. That's true of all three. But you still have to buy water hoses, sewer hoses, and then let's say you want filtration on your water. Heaven forbid you want a solar system, which we would recommend highly because we like ours. But
maintenance, you know, those sorts of things. And don't forget, you got to sit in the car with these people. Do you like your family that much?
So let's move on to air travel. So this one, you read the horror stories on social media sometimes. It's pretty obvious. You are very dependent on other people's schedules.
That's right. And personally, that's something that really eats at me.
So there are tricks and tips that you can work around some of these things to kind of limit how often your air travel may be canceled, delayed, or Lord knows what else. But unfortunately, you are very dependent on that. In addition to that portion of it, you also do have potential delays at airports. You're also dealing with quite a few more people in a confined space trying to get through security of airports, get on airplanes. And let's be honest, airlines are trying to maximize revenue at the moment.
That's right.
And so they are going to put as many people onto the plane as they can fit legally. And so that is a portion of it.
Yes, and that doesn't even go into lost luggage, which happens to everybody. I have not met a soul where that hasn't happened. Yes, it happened to us, and they had to deliver it to us more than an hour away
right.
from the airport. So, all right. So then as far as cruising goes, again, little soft spot in my heart for this one, but I will admit you have certain destinations that you can't quite get to, right? And so you only have ports in certain places. And I think this hit home for us when we did Alaska, that we loved our Alaskan cruise, but when we looked at it, we realized how little we actually got to see, even though we had a fantastic time. And so that is a little bit of a negative, that you may not be indulging in that whole experience. The other thing would be, if you get seasick, it's obviously not for you. Thank goodness that's not both of us, but I'm sure that is somebody out there.
Now, do you have a favorite mode of travel, whether it be air, cruising, or the RV life, whether it's full-time or part-time?
And why?
I'm going to be honest with you. I like all of them.
All of them.
Because I do feel, honestly, like they all have a time and place.
Absolutely.
Especially if you have to travel for business. Sometimes it's not feasible to take as long. You fly in, you do your meeting, you fly out.
Yeah.
Cruising, the thing I love most about it personally is that I'm unwilling to pay the data packages for my cell phone to work. So I truly feel disconnected.
Yeah.
And that's a magical feeling after you have to train yourself not to stare at your phone. And then obviously RV life, we wouldn't have gone full time if we didn't love that.
Yes, we are Millers in motion, meaning all kinds of motion and travel. We found ways to enjoy all parts of that over our 20 years together.
We have. Thank you for joining us this week. We had a ton of fun putting this together because we got to relive some cruise memories. Maybe we have one coming up. We always are flying somewhere typically throughout the year, or at least I am. And then obviously we live full time in our Alliance Valor. And so RV life is near and dear to our hearts.
You got it.
Do us a favor. Share this video with just one person. We're really trying to push a lot of this stuff out into the world and build the community. And if you share it with just one person, that goes a long way.
You got it.
Thank you so much, and we'll catch you next week.
Bye, Mom.